How were you first made aware that there was a gunman inside the school?
One of our teachers, our science teachers named Mr. Wallace, came in and let us know.
And what did he say exactly?
He ran into the room and he just yelled. He goes, lockdown. He goes, do what you would do in a lockdown drill. This is not a drill.
How often do you do lockdown drills?
I'd say about once every 3 months. I've done quite a bit, so I knew exactly what to do. Arapahoe prepares really well for them.
And what did you do? What did it entail, getting into a lockdown situation?
We all went into a corner. I was upstairs in a room, so we all went into a corner and turned off the lights and locked the door.
And how long were you there?
Well, we were there for about, I want to say, 30 to 35 minutes, maybe a little bit longer.
And what could you hear, if anything, while you were in lockdown in this room with the door locked and the lights out?
Well, right away we got in our corner, and none of us really we weren't serious about it because I mean we've always had lockdown drills, but none of them have been they've all been drills, and so we weren't really sure what was going to happen. And so we were all kind of talking until our teacher was like, you guys really need to be quiet. This isn't a drill. So we were like, okay. And then all of a sudden we just heard a lot of rumbling, like a ton of rumbling. It sounded like desks were hitting everything, and there was just so much. And then all of a sudden we just heard, or I heard 3 gunshots, and it was just bam, bam, bam. And yeah.
You heard gunshots, and did you know that they were gunshots at the time?
I was not aware at the time, but one of my classmates had this app on his phone, and it was a police radio interceptor, and so he got to hear everything that the police were saying. And so within 5 minutes of us hearing the gunshots, we heard the police say confirmed fire, and a suspect has entered the building.
At this point, were you, obviously you weren't joking around anymore, were you scared, were you concerned, or did you feel secure and safe in that room?
In the room I felt safe, but I was, of course, still worried because there's a gunman loose in our school, so I was worried, but I felt safe. So there were people around me already starting to cry, and I wasn't one of those, but I was still definitely worried, but I wasn't extremely scared. But yeah, I was definitely worried.
When were you able to leave the room? What happened?
Well, what happened was these cops, I want to say there were about, because in the room I was in, it was upstairs, and so they blocked off the upstairs, and so there were about 5 to 10 cops, and they all said that we just got a knock on the door, and they were telling us they were doing a come here wave. And so my teacher, we heard the knocks, and we were all just so scared. And then we heard the knocks, and we were like, okay, we're just going to stay down. And then one kid peeks his head up. He yells at my teacher. He goes, it's a cop, it's a cop. And she goes, still stay down. Then he goes, there's 4 of them, and they're signaling us to come. And so then we get up, and we open the door, and then we all single file, and then we're all about ready to leave the building. And then we don't know. I'm not sure whether or not it was another gunshot, the suspect killing himself, or, I mean, in my opinion, that's what it was. But we heard something, and all of a sudden the cops just yelled, get back in class, go, go, go. And then we all just scrambled into the class. And about 5 minutes later, the same cops knocked on and said, you're good to come out. And by that time, we all single file lined to the outdoors, and then we went into the parking lot. And then we went on to the track.
Wow, that's a horrifying story. Just to make sure I understand, the first time that the police came to your door of the classroom and knocked on the door, they weren't speaking probably because they were just trying to be quiet. They must have knocked lightly on the door?
Yeah, it was by no means a bang, but even the lightest noise still scared us because the classroom was dead silent. The only thing you could hear was vibrates of phones just buzzing from parents and friends.
And then when you got outside, what happened next? Are you one of these, we see these film from local TV crews of a bunch of students let out in single file, their hands in the air, patted down by police, by law enforcement, obviously trying to make sure that just in case the shooter had an accomplice, that person would not be able to get away. Thankfully, it doesn't look like he did have an accomplice, but were you one of those students being led away with your hands in the air?
Well, what happened was the single file line, every single person had to put their hands up, no matter what. And so we all put our hands up, and the police would just lightly pat us, and we'd keep going. But certain students were selected, and they'd be like, come here, and then they'd get a full pat down. And I was not one of those, but although I didn't get full pat down, I was still just briefly patted down.
Is walking out with your hands in the air part of a lockdown drill, or were the police telling you to do that?
The police were telling us to do that because normally in a lockdown drill, we wouldn't leave our class. We'd stay in.
I know you have a twin brother at the school, and you had a little trouble reaching him at first. Tell us about that, and then tell us about when you were able to be reunited with him.
Well, that was probably hands down the scariest time I've ever been in my entire life overall. I was in the corner with my classmates, and all of a sudden I go, wait, my brother's not on lunch. He's in the school. So I text him. I go, Austin, you doing okay? Because I just assume he knows that he's in lockdown. He doesn't reply. I go, Austin, where are you? Then he doesn't reply. And so by then I'm just freaking out, and he keeps not replying, and I just start all caps, exclamation mark, Austin, where are you? Are you okay? Are you okay? Still no reply. Then I remember what class he's in, and so I go, I'm texting my friend, Bernie, and I go, Bernie, is Austin all right? I need to know. Please tell me. And he goes, Austin never showed up to class today. And at that point, my heart just drops, and I go, oh my gosh, he could be one of the ones who got shot, and I'm so scared. But then, and I'm like freaking out. I tell everyone, and I'm on the verge of tears, and I just don't know what to do. And then I text my dad. I go, Dad, Austin's missing. We have no idea where he is. And I almost lost it. And then my dad sends me a text. He goes, Austin stayed home. He wasn't feeling good this morning. And I just dropped my phone, and I lost it. I started crying. I couldn't believe that he stayed home and he was safe, because for all I knew, he was one of the ones who got shot.
Well, Christian, we're so glad that both you and Austin are fine, and I'm so sorry about the ordeal that you went through today. Thank you so much for talking to us.
No problem. Thank you for having me.